All right, the Coleman VERTEX 7500. Okay, customer dropped this thing off. She's a big unit, huh? Hopefully it doesn't need a camshaft. Well, we're probably going to want to go in those valves, but first we got to get it running. But really first, we need to clean it off. And we're probably going to need to order an oil filter for it. I don't think I have one of those. Oh, and hopefully that's not messed up, because it's going to need a fuel pump to run. And the problem with all of these things is you have to get it to run before you can even check out the electronics. But why don't we start off with a nice little bath. I'm going to use my electric pressure washer, because we don't want to put, you know, too much pressure on any of this. And we're also going to make a little bit of a super clean on this. All right, big shout out to Super Clean for helping out on this one. I started off a little bit of weak 50-50 mix, and then I put a little spray foam, the spray Super Clean foamy, which I like that a lot. And that, you know, this is not too strong for it. I'm going to hit a few more areas in here, a couple of spots. Remember, I rinsed it first, so while it's still wet, I like to use the product. Right, this thing's not that dirty, and we're not looking to get too crazy with it. So this should be fine. I'm going to walk away, take a quick break, come back, give it a rinse, and then we'll take off the top and we'll poke around in here. Thanks, Super Clean. Super Clean. Get yours now. All right, so all nice and clean. I don't feel guilty about washing it, fellas, because it rained real hard yesterday, and it actually rained this week. This thing's been outside. So it got soaked yesterday. So let it drip dry, and then I blew everything out with the air hose. And we're going to buzz wheel that and put a battery in it, one of my batteries. So I'll just use my Scotch-Brite on my whiz wheel. I pulled the plug. Let's take a look at the plug. I pulled the air cleaner off. The plan right now is we're going to put a little bit of my transmission special sauce in it, 50-50 mix. Put it into the plug hole. We're going to put the battery on it. We're going to spin her over. Here's the plug, right? We want to make sure she spins and all that. Here's the plug. If it spins good, we'll clean the plug. We'll put the plug in, and then we'll spin it over again and see if we can get it started. What we're really looking for is to see if the camshaft is okay. These motors is very common for the compression release valve to go bad. And if that's the case, this could be a real problem, because you'd have to take the motor off to do it. And it can be very difficult getting all this apart. It might fight me. It may not. Anybody that's watched, you know, Condon will know it can be very difficult getting one of these things apart, especially something like this. So that would be a project that would be for another day. I blew out all the electronics, you know, the outlets. Spider came crawling out. That should be dry enough. It's about as dry as it was before I started. It's as dry as it's going to get. All right, fellas, I got a battery in it now. I cleaned the terminals, like I said. Yeah, that sounds good. Now, let's see if we have spark real quick. We should be able to see something in there. Yep, we got spark. All right, let's shut it off. Let me go get my compression tester. We'll test compression, and then I'll clean the plug. All right, let's see what we have. If you can't see it, I'm just going to yell it out anyway. Well, that's a good sign. 125 pounds we've passed, and we're under 150, so she could be 125, 130, 135, maybe 140. That's very good. Now we want to check the ACR. Now, the gauge will kind of show if the ACR is bad. I mean, it still will be a little hard to start, and then you'd have to kind of rotate this. But the plug is going to do a better job of that, because as soon as she builds compression, tries to fire, that's when we're really going to know if the ACR is working. Clean the plug, we'll get the plug in, we'll do that test. RC12YC, it's nice and clean now. Yeah, she was a little dirty, but got it cleaned up good. The gap was fine, about 31, 32, which is fine for this. A little copper nose C's on it, and I think we should be good to go. It'll be good for a test. But yeah, it came clean. These plugs, I don't think this has got a lot of hours on it, but we'll find out. Let's get it in and give it another shot. All right, fellas, we got some two-stroke, battery. I've checked the oil. I'm gonna pour a little gas down there. That light is I turn the switch on. That's like a 250 or 500 watt halogen. We just want to see if we can kill two birds with one stone. Maybe we'll get lucky, and we'll find out what's going on. That should be enough. Okay, she wants to run for sure, fellas. A little dim. It shouldn't be that dim. Let's try the other circuit. There could be something wrong with this generator. And what we need is, I need a voltmeter on that. But let's just run it again. Maybe it'll come back. But it's kind of running. She wants to run on the fuel too, I think. Okay, so she's not really lighting that bulb up. Let me go and get a voltmeter tapped into there. I'll go rig up something so that we can at least see what's going on. All right, fellas, so here's the plan. I'm going to start it back up. I've got my kilowatt meter. We should be able to see what voltage output it is. And I've got a like a 100-watt bulb or something in that drop light. And then I want to take a look at what the RPM is, right? So I want to look at those things, and then we'll see where we are. All right, she's running at 3,600 RPMs. That's fine. That's perfect. I'm not getting anything on that kilowatt. It might have died. Let me go get an extension cord to plug it in, and I'll check it and make sure she's okay, and then we'll retest. But the lights are dim. All right, it's a little windy out here, but we'll be in the shop in a minute. So I got my meter hooked up, it's fine. I got my drill just in case we need to pass a little bit of current in and kind of beat up the magnetism a little bit. So we'll try that, but I suspect it could be brushes or slip ring. Anyway, let's just fire it up. We'll talk more in a minute because it is windy out here, and all you're going to hear really is the engine running. Now let's give it a shot and see what we can do. All right, let me clean up. It got a little brighter, but yeah, we'll talk in a minute. I'm using my suction device. The air compressor's rolling, so, but the fuel looks pretty clean. I'm going to suck a little bit more out. I got it down as far as I can. I can't quite reach all the way to the bottom. That would have been nice. Let me see if I can find a way to get it down a little further. Doesn't look bad, though. I don't see any floaters. It's just a little old. All right, I checked the outlets over there. They seem like they're okay, but we'll go through that test in a bit. I don't feel like spinning this thing. And I had to seal up the gas tank with a little bit of saran wrap, put the cap down, because I did take some of the fuel out, but we got a little bit of a leak. It seems to be okay right now, so we want to keep an eye on that. This cover came off. I blew it with some compressed air. Let's just see. I'll yell it out to you, and we're just going to go straight across. And we're getting a reading of 108 point something ohms. So that's not too bad. All right, so remember that number. I'm going to go write that down. All right, I'm already seeing corrosion on that spring. Let me turn a little light on. Oh, the light is on. See, that's not good. I don't have any more brushes, but we need to take this off. We need to get in there and take a peek at that. That one doesn't look as bad, but yeah, that's been getting wet for a while. Give it a blow. Okay, you shouldn't have anything there. So we got nothing. See? That I'm just shorting out the two leads. And we'll go to ground, nothing. Okay. And let's go push this in and see what we get. Trying to hold it stable. That's a little high. 88 point something ohms. That's a little high, so these brushes might be beat. Let's see what we get from the brush itself. Right to the front. And about 1 point something. 0.9 on that one. So very little there. We can clean the face of that with Scotch-Brite by hand. Let's try this one. .0, 0.9. So they're about the same. All right, put these out of our way. All right, now we'll pull off these bolts. And we're going to take a peek in there and see what's going on. All right, I'm going to get you in close with the other camera, but yeah. Oh, what's that dirt right there? It's bugs. Wait till you see what's in here. There's no real water in here, fellas. I was careful to not, you know. Also, it's kind of hard for water to get in here, although there is a little bit that drip down and in down here where the connectors are. But we'll be able to pull the connectors off and get in here and blow this out. I don't want to blow it out here. You're going to see why. And then we can take a poke in here and see what's going on. The electronics are in here. Whatever circuit's in here is whatever circuit's in here. We can't really fix that unless I go in deeper. And he wants it right away because this is what he uses. This or the other one or whatever he claims. He lives in a trailer and he needs AC. But one thing's for sure, you look at how that is not in good shape. There's dirt on it. Spider webs. Let me get you in close. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. There's a diode there and a diode there. That's actually on a bar. We'll have to take a look at that. Okay, we don't want to disturb it too much, fellas. So what if I can just... This one came up a little bit, so I took a picture. So the black and black is on the right. My right. Even your right. So let's see. All right, it looks like the lock is letting go. And the connector's starting to go, so that's not a problem. There's a little water in that. Yeah, it looks like water dripped down this way. It came down this way. And there's some oxidation on that. We can clean that up with a little bit of... I have a particular acid I like to use, so we're going to put some of that on. And let's see if we can grab this one. This one, we got to dry it out. So I'm going to let it sit overnight in here after we clean all of this and get it good and dry. Now there's some wear. I can actually feel some wear on those lands. Look at the junk in that. But we're going to want to test it again after it's polished. I'll blow all this out. I'll put my acid on those connectors and on those connectors. I'll bring that outside and give it a wipe down or something. So let's see here. Can we get a good... Let's just test it. Hold on. All right, we're good. All right, not bad. 48.8. That's much better, fellas. Already. So 48, it'd be nice to be about 30, 40. All right, that would be nice. Remember, it's out of the circuit now. Yeah, that's not bad. Now again, you had to take these big long bolts out. It's hard to get in there. These are a pain in the neck to work on, but it looks like we can get to it. All right, I'm gonna blow all this schmutz out and I'll show you. I use an aluminum, Aluma-Brite for welding aluminum and stainless, and that's what the cleaner is. I'll blow this out off camera, but we'll come back in a minute and we'll polish this. I'll show you what I want to do. Now this here, there's a bearing in there. So, see it? So since this is so dirty, I'm going to want to plug that needle bearing up with something. A rag or some, I have plastic caps. We want to come from both sides and we'll try to blow this out. We can't really wash it. There's a capacitor over here. It doesn't look terrible. There's an adjustment over here. for part of the rectifier, and it's actually, you see these two diodes here? They're actually over here. See them? There and there. There's an adjuster over here. All right, we're not sure what that does. We don't want to touch it. We want to make sure all these connectors are nice and clean. We can put a little acid on some of that. How do these look? How does the connections look? Yeah, those connections look a little beat. They look like they're crimped on, but we'll put a little acid on. We have to be judicious. Let me close this up before I even attempt cleaning that. All right, blow it out. Careful. Now I want to let this soak while I'm working on the other part. So again, this is Aluma Bright, and I'll put a cut sheet in somewhere. I still have some laying around. This is, you can also use like a cleaning vinegar, but this has got special buffering agents in it. You know, one has to understand that not all acids are the same. We're just going to put a little bit on there and let it soak. And then the other thing you can do, I feel it's like stinging my finger. Hold on. You can take a toothbrush or like an acid brush to cut the bristles down. So you can take your toothbrush and go in there a little bit and agitate it. The idea is that you don't want to disrupt the coating that's on there, really. You just want to remove oxidation. Here's one here. You can stick that in there too. But I need to cut those bristles down a little bit. Well, you can wear gloves, but I'm going to go wash my hands. So we're going to put a little bit more on, about 15-20 minutes, a half hour. We'll do the other connectors too. Yeah, that's going good. Yeah, they're looking real good. They're looking much better. All right, they got a little nasty. Let me go wash off my hands. And we're going to use a little bit on a Scotch-Brite to clean this in a bit. All right, fellas, so this is the Ultra Bright aluminum cleaner. Okay, so that's what I used. And you can get it. We also use a similar product in HVAC for cleaning air conditioning coils and such. This is a little different formulation. So this, I already blew this out. Let me put a little bit of light on that. The sun was coming in. Hold on. I had to move this thing up a little bit in the back because she's still leaking a little. I wanted to take some of the pressure off. So now it's on a bit of a slant. So this all got cleaned out, and then I used a bit of brake parts cleaner. It's non-chlorinated. This is pretty much almost identical to electrical parts cleaner, which is what you really want, but I'm out, and I've used this in the past. See, now it's getting a little too bright. Yeah, that sun's really coming in. And I wanted to show you this. So I washed this out, and it's a lot cleaner. And it's still got a little bit of the acid laying in the bottom. So I'm gonna blow it through these connectors here, through here, a little bit in there, and I'm going to blow it through, like I said, with a little bit of brake parts cleaner. First I want to blow it with low pressure air, and I already blew with some high pressure. The cap doesn't look like it's bulging, but now I can read the numbers, and we'll get that sort of cleaned out with a bit of brake parts cleaner, and then I'm going to run a little bit of WD on the connectors on both. But look at how much better it looks. So the WD will blow in from here and everything. We want to make sure that there's no water in it and there's no acid in it. The acid's neutralized, and that it can sit, this whole thing can sit overnight until tomorrow. All right, I'll be right back. All right, that's not bad. So the solvent I was using, I think it was a little bit of, I want to say, well, I have some solvent that I put in there that is like old gas and some brake cleaner and some gum out and oil, and that stuff doesn't affect it. Then there was also a jar of, like, it was starting to get rancid. I think it was kerosene, and with a brush, right? Just like a little brush, and kind of work it around and then blow it out, wipe it out. Now we're good here. Now just to make sure, right, I'm going to run a little bit of WD in it. Just a few spots. Anywhere there might be electrical stuff. Now, this is the kind of thing I used to have to do. I do occasionally to my motherboard on my computer. because it gets so much dust in it, and that dust is the shop dust, which is usually like rust and stuff. Okay, let that kind of sit for a bit and work its way in, and then I'm going to blow it and just dab it with a little towel or tissue or something, and then that's done. We'll let that sit out, but we want to make sure any water, it'll drive out any water. See, there's little bits, a little bit of water coming out. That's the best thing. WD-40 will drive out any potential for water. The more we get out, really isn't much in here, but we want to make sure, and then we'll focus on that. All right, I got the rectifier box sitting over there on a ramp in the sun. We got like another hour or two of sun. That'll help. It's black. It'll definitely dry. So our job now, this is the last job of the evening. And notice, if you notice, I covered that bearing good. And I found some nice covers. We're going to put a little bit of brake cleaner. Just a little. And I'm just going to work it around. I know it's aiming down, but I'm trying to keep the gas from draining out. Just going to kind of go over it. And I'll wipe it periodically. There's a lot of junk on it. Let's see if I can, hold on, we'll put it down the other way. Yeah, that's nasty. Hold on. Let's see what comes up. Oh yeah, that's a difference. See, I just loosened up a little bit. We could turn that brightness down a little bit more. I know, it's hard to see because of the lighting in here. To get that well lit is causing other issues. We don't want any oils or grease on this. All right? So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just doing this. We'll come back in a bit, but it looks like it's pretty good. And then I'm just going to lightly dress the tips of the shoes. And we'll measure it with the ohm meter. And then we'll be done. All right, I got some, this is like a gray, this is fine. The green is kind of coarse, and the red is like a medium, but this is fine. So we're going to polish it up. Actually, it's coming really nice. Oh boy, you can see how much junk I kicked up. Yeah, there was a lot. It was almost like a groove of deposited material. I thought it was a bit grooved. The lands were grooved, but no, it was actually some deposited material. All right, let's get it clean. Look at that. I know, the white, yeah. All right, let me just get it clean now. Yeah, that was a big difference. Yeah, that's clean. Yeah, that looks good. I'll get you in close too. There's a little bit of material over there. I don't know if that's a scratch, but it looks good. Let's get the ohm meter on it. Okay. All right, about 48.8. All right, be nice to be around 30 to 40, but that's a little high. I don't think it's a problem. 48.7. There's nothing going to ground, I mean, or to the center, so there's no internal short. All this looks like it's okay. So what I don't like, I should have put a little bit of acid on that just to clean that up a little bit. I might do that just to let them soak a little. But it looks like it's okay. But that acid will leave a protective coating. Yeah, we might want to clean. This one looks like it's okay. With this one, I'm a little concerned. I'm going to let that sit, like I said, just in a little bit of acid, just for a little bit. I'll put it in a little cup, and then we're going to wipe with some brake cleaner. And we might even put a little bit of chain wax on the spring and on the connector. But you can't get any on the brush itself, the shoes. Yeah, I just put a little bit into this little cup and just let it sit for a little while, see? Just let it sit in there. Just the bottom section here. We'll do the brake cleaner after the acid, then the chain wax, and then a little bit of brake cleaner on a blue towel, and just lightly wiping these guys here, these brushes, especially the tip and the sides. You know, you don't got to all go all the way back, because it's, you know, you would never want to wear it that much. It probably would stop working.
The next morning.
All right, next day. All right, so just going to kind of get a close-up look. Last look, fellas. I put a little bit of chain wax into here. Yeah, I'll show you the chain wax in a minute. Just a spritz, you know, that's all you need. I do have silicone stuff that you use for there. It's a dielectric, you know, I think it's Dow Corning's, but I love my chain wax. It just works so good. Everything looks good in here. Everything is dry. Battery's still on charge. I think it'll be fine. Let's go take a look at some of the stuff. Hold on. So again, that's what I'm using. Now check out some of my shorts. Go to my channel. I use a whole bunch of different products. If chain lube as well. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can check it out there. We're going to put just a dollop. Look how nice and clean it is. Just a finger's, pinky's worth of fresh grease in there. Don't use too much. You don't want it flying all over those nice copper pickup areas. You know, those things came out so nice. It looks good in here, doesn't it? A little bit of acid that I used cleaned up everything. I can inspect it. It looks good. And that got flushed. And flushed again. And then a little chain wax on here. Wouldn't put any here because it's going to get hot. This is a heat sink. Down in here, got a little lube, WD-40. I want to take another couple more pictures of this. This is a little blurry, but this product came out good. And although it's stamped with Coleman, those ICM things, they're around. Like, you might be able to replace that. This, probably AVR, I didn't get a chance to look it up. Most likely, if that's an adjustment right there, that's most likely an AVR, which is good. That cap looks fine. So I know I got a good shot of that. But I want to see if I can get a better shot of this cap so that we have a good idea. It's kind of see-through. Yeah, fellas, I decided to take that plastic piece off. I should have done it before. This way I could clean in there. But also, you could get a better look at the part numbers. See these parts here? And that as well. That's 130 microfarad, 200 volt. All right, and it looks like it's in good shape. I don't see any issues with it. I don't see bulging here. You know, although it could just be like right on its way. That could have burned out. This is the Coleman part number. But like I said, I'll take pictures. But they got two part numbers there. So they got the Coleman part number, 240 volt, 0052627. And then there's an ICM part number, which is an AB3101-240. So, and again, I'm going to try to keep taking more pictures and to shove these wires in, because these wires got to be in here. You'd almost think that maybe it'd be a better idea to maybe connect those things now. Just be careful. You got to be careful, though. Thing is, I got to lay over and plug these in. So let me see what I want to do. All right, so I installed the brushes before I put the plastic on. That way I can grab these wires, because they were, if you try to connect these wires, you'll pull that wire down up underneath the plastic. You won't be able to get to it. So now you can hold the back of those connectors and put your brushes in, or at least connect them. Don't put the screws in. They're not under any kind of spring tension. We're going to leave it like this, right? And I don't have to worry about banging into it or anything. Now we can put the plastic back, whichever way it goes, right? We'll put this guy back. And the brushes are clean. I gave them a good wipe down, a little bit of, tissue and a little bit of brake clean, just to wipe it. And now we're done. Now we won't have to worry because we're not going to damage anything. Everything will be in alignment. The wires aren't going to come apart, and we're going to need to tug on these and to connect everything, and then I'll put it back on, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, fellas, I was just looking at the little video short I just took at these slip rings, and I noticed a shadow. So you see how flush it fits here, but not here. It's sticking up a little bit. Now, it's sticking up, but it doesn't feel like it's loose. But you know, those pickup brushes, the shoes, they are on springs, but that's got me a little concerned. I just saw a shadow, and I'm like, yeah. All right, just wanted to point that out. You see, here's our brushes. He came out nice, right? And just a touch of chain wax on there. Before I put them on, I'll wipe the shoe down. I didn't spray any chain wax or anything on the shoes, but man, that came nice. Let it dry, and it's like a wax. So it's not going to go anywhere. And it came nice. All right, let's put this together. All right, all tighten up, back together again. Let's put the cap on there. Turn it right side up, let it settle, put a battery in it, and let's see what happens. So we're ready for a test. I got the light plugged in. I tightened up the loose outlets. I didn't show you hit them with the ohm meter, but I don't see anything weird. Like, it seems to be balanced, the ohm readings. So, and we know that it does put out some power. The AVR might be questionable. That's what I think it might be. That's probably an AVR system in there. When we go to start it, it does start if I prime it. I don't know. There's a choke system here, so we might want to try the choke and just turn it over with the choke. A little bit of fuel did dump when we had it on its back, or its butt or back or whatever, but it does run 3,600 RPMs. It's right on the money. It sounded like it was running fine. Let's give it a test. We'll put a little choke on it and see. Hopefully this doesn't explode. I think I'll put it down though. Maybe we'll put it down. That might be better. All right, stand by. All right, now as I already mentioned, that's his battery. I charge it with a high power charger for a couple hours. Battery got warm, let it cool down, do it again on slightly lower power. Do it again, let it get warm, let it cool down. Then overnight I put my trickle charger on it. The charger got a little warm, but then it cooled down this morning when it came out. So we should be good to go. We're gonna use a little choke. All right, well, I guess that's the choke all the way on. We'll find out. Almost. Let's take the choke off. Off all the way. All right, now she could be flooded. I don't know, did you see any light come on? I wonder, let me go check that. Let me check that choke, hold on. Well, we might want to prime it. All right, check the air cleaner. And I was choking it. So now we're gonna leave the choke off. We'll put a little primer in here, a little 2-stroke. All right, what we want to do now is the choke is a little sticky. Something's not right with the choke. All right, so we know it works. Before we continue to run this thing, let's change the oil. And I'm not going to put a filter on it. I don't have one. He can't wait. So I just told him. Yeah, that oil's nasty. All right. Let's let that do its thing. It definitely needs an oil change. All right, I got a drop. You can't see, it's not in the shot, but I got a drop light, 100-watt drop light on one leg, and I got the 500-watt or whatever on the other leg plugged into here so we can test it. We're not going to do a full load test. That's not necessary right now. Besides, even if there is a problem, he's not going to let me fix it. And I also want to see if we're charging this battery. So we're on his battery. I put the air cleaner back. We're going to choke it. I put a new fuel filter on, so there's no fuel in that fuel filter, but there should be some fuel in the bowl. But we're still going to choke it and see if it chokes. I got, what I put in here, over 40 something ounces of good oil in here. So we got fresh oil. There's really nothing else to do. Let's get this thing tested, those few tests, and we'll send it out the door. Because, like I said, even if I load test this thing, I mean, I can do that, but I don't know what to say. I mean, we got to get it back to him because, you know, he's just going to keep whining and complaining about it, and I can't say I blame him. He knows it works because he had it running, like he said, like 2 years ago. For some reason or other, it sat. So there really shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Let's put the choke on. All right, we're going to run it to full. Well, yeah, we'll try full choke just to see what happens. Uh-oh, I got nothing. There it is. Well, I had nothing for a second. Everybody, Gentech Pro 14.5 overhead valve. Nice Briggs motor. This is a nice motor. Probably a cast cylinder sleeve. Decent nice. All right, so we got our oil change in there. We cleaned the plug a while back. I didn't touch the valves. I don't think it's got a lot of hours on it. I got to keep the price down a little bit. Seems like it runs fine. I avoided doing a number of things because we had to focus on diagnostic and that repair, which is that's an interesting repair. I wouldn't even call it a repair. That's a service, because at some point that is going to happen. Now some of you may say, well, you put water on it. No, I didn't blast in there with my pressure washer. Can it get wet? Sure. You saw what it was like. So is it good to wash things with water? Well, yeah, depending upon where it sat. We let it dry for a little while. It was already wet because it was outside. He said he had it covered, but that won't stop stuff from splashing up. And I don't know how covered it was because you guys saw what it looked like. Maybe I should put a little short here, right? Just to kind of get a look at what it really looks like. It's a nice machine. You know, going over all of that, I'm a little concerned about those traces that kind of sticking up, but they don't seem loose. That can be, you know, wear or manufacturing issues. That could be something that crops up later on. Maybe not. What could you do? You could put a bonding agent underneath, like crazy glue or something, but you can't get any on the slip ring. You'd have to clean it off. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But that's, you know, things do go wrong. I put some chain wax on the battery terminals. I put some chain wax in a few other spots. I also had to lubricate his crazy wheels, which are dragging. And then I put a little chain wax after I got them moving again. WD-40, a little chain wax and WD-40 in the key ignition, and also all in, but it's just a little bit out of shot. Yeah. For something that's been sitting out for a while, in the circuit breakers and all that, spray some WD-40 in there. Take a plug and move it in and out. That'll clean it off a little bit and protect it, especially after you wash it. Blow dry with compressed air. I don't know what the idle switch is. I haven't looked. But yeah, took care of all of that. That looks good. You blow it out with air and put some WD-40 in. Everything just got a little bit of quick wipe down with WD-40. See, this thing's really clean. I'm not going to spray it with any clear or anything like that. And not everything can get that level of detail and care because price point. And like I said, if this thing started to fail on the load, there's not much you can do. That AVR, I'm willing to bet that little blue thing on the side, right, that's a little trim pot, a little dash pot. And that's probably what you can regulate with. However, at idle, she's dead on. Absolutely. About 121 volts. It's 60 hertz, a little over 60 hertz, or somewhere right there. But you saw that. So she's dead on. You know, frequency cycles, all of that. It had, you know, I think it was something like 600 watts of draw, which is nothing for this machine. But I don't think it's going to have a problem. They generally don't. When you get this far, you see something like this, you kind of get used to it. I did put my meter up in here. I didn't show it, but I was just looking. I forget what ohms it was, what impedance it was in each outlet, and then also around the 220. By the way, that's a nice 220 plug. That's the better 220 plug. Grounded as well. I checked it. You're looking for mostly similar readings, right, on both legs. On one leg, L1 and L2, and you want to see a good reading. They're about the same, and you don't want to see any shorts to ground. If you see any short anywhere on that, if you see a short to ground, you got a problem. So we didn't see anything like that. So I was fairly confident. I'm not going to go over every little thing on this video because it's not worth it. Some videos I'll do, I think in the future, we'll get a little bit more involved, but there's plenty of people out there doing it. If you find something like this, you know, this is just the engine alone, depending on what you pay. Even if the rest of it was garbage, this is a nice engine. It certainly would be worth it. And I told them that. I said, you know, God forbid something else happens or something else is wrong, or it gets to be too much with a mechanic trying to troubleshoot and repair it. You know, you got to consider that. If a mechanic is doing this, it's going to be a lot more money. Yeah, I think it's in good shape. The battery seems to be holding the charge. We were getting 13 volts at the battery terminals. That's not bad. Sure, I'd like to see 13.5, but it's not 12 volts, and the battery's been used for quite a while. Who knows how long? Maybe it sat for 2 years. I would say maybe put a trickle charger on it every now and then, and I mentioned that to him. Don't forget, we turned it over a whole bunch of times, so you probably would only see 13 volts. The RPM is right on the money. This is nice. So all of that cleanup work down below, right, it paid off. Thanks for watching this episode of Arch's Garage, and I had a lot of fun with this one, and it's done, and I gotta get out of here. Next!